talked at great length about the 4 marks of existence, the 4 seals of Buddhism. And as we were doing so, I made a joke about how Buddhism is always just delivering bad news. And I forgot at the end to tell you the good news. So I just left you with this and you went home. So I apologize. So it's a good excuse though, because as I said last week, we can't really talk about any aspect of Buddhism without referencing these 4 seals. So we can do a really quick review today, and that will set us in the right direction. So the first one that we talked about was impermanence. That absolutely everything is subject to change. Everything arises, everything falls away. And the good news, obviously, though we don't always think about it this way because we sometimes view impermanence in terms of extinction, in terms of death or in terms of decay, is that whatever your situation is, it's not going to stay this way. That's a promise. From this perspective anyway, it's an absolute guarantee. Your life is going to change. Your relationships are going to change. Now you might immediately think of really good things that you have and think, no, I don't want that to change. But there are other aspects of your life that you might wish could shift, and they will. You know that. The next one that we talked about was dukkha. Dukkha is this chronic sense of dis-ease, of dissatisfaction, of measuring your current experience against an experience that you hold in your mind, good or bad. It's that sense of gap. And what this teaching says is that everyone is experiencing this all the time. It's our fundamental condition as human beings, that we are always, always, always feeling off. What's the good news? The good news is, I think this is one of the most powerful aspects of Buddhism, the good news is that if you really understand that, if you can really recognize that in yourself, and then if you make the leap, if you take that working assumption that everyone else is experiencing this as well, that means that you already understand the suffering of everyone around you. You get it. Every single person you meet, whether they immediately seem like a friend to you or whether they seem utterly foreign, at the most base level, you know their problem. And you know that their problem is exactly your problem. You're sharing this experience with them. There's really nothing you could share with another person that's more elemental than that. And you already have it with everybody. Every relationship you have just got easier. Much. If you can keep that in mind. If you can look at the person next to you in the elevator and think, this person is feeling exactly the same sense of dissatisfaction that I am. This person always feels that something is just a little bit off. I have that too. You could just start talking about it. Skip all the other steps. The third seal is no self. The teaching that none of us and nothing around us has an inherent fixed existence. That we are made of stuff. And that stuff is in a state of flux. And that stuff is also made of stuff. We'll talk about that more today. And we sometimes take this at our first encounter with it as kind of a fearful teaching, because we're saying no self. I'm not here. This person that I thought I was, here's this body of teaching saying that I don't even exist. And that's true, on one level. But what it's also saying is that you are not trapped. You are completely free. Completely. All the aspects of your experience, all the aspects of your life that you think hold you to one thing, that make you feel limited in your movement in the world. I remember when I was in college, people used to invite me out on weekends, and they said, we're all going to wherever. And I just had this, I don't know why. I would always say no. I always said no. I wanted to do something with someone, but in the moment that it would happen, I always said no. And I kind of thought, well, that's just me. That's just what I do. I don't know what's wrong with me. Well, the reason I kept doing it is because I believed that I had to keep doing that. I could be completely free of that. Completely. Now. It's liberation far beyond what we usually think liberation is. And the same applies to the people around you. Not only are they free, but you can free them up. So you can look at your friend, and you can look at your partner, and you can look at your parents. Parents are a big one, because we think that our parents don't change. We can look at our parents, and we can say, it's okay. You can evolve. I'm going to let you do that. And then the fourth seal is this notion that reality, and some traditions will call it nirvana, some traditions will call it enlightenment, that it is beyond concepts. That it is so vast that we can't possibly ever measure it. We can't possibly see it, and we certainly can't possibly convey it to someone else through words. And that can seem a little overwhelming. But the good news is that your experience, your attainment, the quality of your life and the quality of your understanding of your life is not quantifiable. Because we're talking about something that is actually that's infinite. We can only quantify things in a finite world. You can only get 100% if there's 100% to be had. But if that grade isn't available, then you can let go of, especially, I think, what sometimes afflicts us when we come to a practice like this is spiritual aspiration. And we imagine, well, I'm going to get it. Right? I'm going to sit under that tree, and my head's going to explode, and I'm going to see reality. Right? And then 20 years later, we think it hasn't happened. I get a D. Would be an F, but we're getting points for trying. But that only works if there's that mark that's 100. And this says it's not there. Drop that. Stop trying to measure your life. Which brings us to